Hey everybody, it's Alicia, founder of the Urban Key. Tonight, very, very, very special broadcast. Today we're doing our first roundtable. So I have a few awesome individuals that are basically on that I think that are super important for you to know. And we're just gonna discuss, what's happening in the hospitality and the events industry and give everybody an opportunity to say how they feel. So I'm gonna go down the list. Everybody, can everybody hear me good?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Just going down the list, I have Mike Ory. Mike is a current resident of Bronzeville. In 2016, he launched AfroTrack. AfroTrack is an events marketing company targeting Black millennials, professionals, creators. Since the launch, AfroTrack has gone on to produce over 100 events across multiple markets, such as New York City, Washington, D.C., Chicago, St. Louis, Philly, New Orleans. He's doing concerts, brunches, day parties, happy hours, entertainment, and lifestyle events. So, you guys, he is somebody you definitely should know. Hey, Mike.
What's going on? How you doing?
What's up? What's up? All right. We're waiting on Jeff. I'll circle back around to him. Next, we got Aston Hayes. She's a graduate of the University of Miami and DePaul University for her master's degree. She's a key account manager with Remy Control, who is also serving as this evening's sponsor. Most importantly, hey. All right. She's a key account manager. She creates and maintains business for over 50 accounts across Chicago. And she's also the founder of the game app Tip Off. So, hey, Aston.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, we also have Tamika Smith. Tamika is a graduate from Jackson State University. She's an active person in the arts and entertainment industry. In 2018, she began her career with Illumination Studios, which is an advertising company. And they do in-home, Tamika, what do they do? They do scenic and fabrication installments for out of home.
Yep.
So, So, everybody, hey, Tamika.
Hey, y'all.
Hey.
And then next, we got Marilyn Shaw. She is a Florida resident and graduate of St. Petersburg College. She's a founder of Live and Share Agency, where she's helping small businesses with experiential marketing. She's worked with the top companies, you guys. She is definitely somebody that you need to know. She's helping people put together activations for what has been Essence Festival this year, but we know that it's moving into next year. So, she's definitely big in the event industry. Another person that you need to know. He's not with us right now, but another person who might be popping in is Jeff the Chef, who would have been our hospitality point person, another hospitality point person for us. But I'll just go ahead and read his bio. Jeff is born in Chicago. He's raised in the Bahamas. He first learned to cook with his grandparents. He's worked at the Four Seasons, the Wit Hotel, the Pump Room. He also has had a distinguished post as the executive chef of the Skyline Club, which is a private members club in Chicago. So we'll welcome him when he is able to join us. But to everybody else, thank you so much for being a part of the roundtable.
Glad to be here.
We're glad to be here.
Absolutely. So, Aston, I wanted to ask you, since you are a sponsor, if you had anything that you wanted to put together for us in terms of Remy.
Well, no, we just wanted to, right now, I know a lot of people are at home making cocktails because we can't go out to our favorite bars and restaurants anymore. So keep us in mind. We have a variety of recipes that you can go on our website, remymartin.com, and try out some things at home and play around with it and see if you like anything from the sidecar to the Remy and Ginger and French 75 and a whole bunch of others. So keep us in mind next time you go, and you can, use Drizzly or Reserve Bar if you don't want to actually leave your house and just get it delivered to you to stay safe during these uncertain times.
And we definitely want to thank Remy, because I know you specifically, you have been involved in a multitude of events across Chicago, and you serve as one of those people that people putting together events can come, and you've helped them to get sponsored. And, for people that are, starting off, it's really, very helpful. You are just the best. I just want to shout you out and thank you once again.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's jump right into it, you guys. I want to start with Mike. Can you let us know how COVID-19 has really impacted your business? You run AfroTrack.
Yeah, for sure. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, my work pretty much 100% relies on people and human interaction. So I guess COVID-19 has affected 100% of my business. Like, all of my events have been either canceled or postponed. Specifically, like a lot of the concerts. Last time we talked, I had a couple of concerts coming up with Maya and 702. We pushed that back from May until like the end of August. Have another concert with Justine Skye. We had to push like the whole tour back. So it's been a challenge, but for me, it's been like a much needed period of rest that I probably wouldn't have taken if I didn't have to take it. So, so in short, I had to adjust. I spent like weeks adjusting all of my events and like rescheduling some things that you just can't really schedule right now because it's pending on when things are going to open back up. But, with that, I've been in kind of good contact with a lot of venues, throughout the city we're all kind of working together, figuring things out and figuring out the next steps. So.
Wow. Okay. Same question to you, Marilyn. How has the COVID-19 affected your business? New business owner.
Right. It's impacted quite a bit. A lot of the clients that I was working with at the time, we were in the middle of planning tours in the natural space industry, and that has all come to a halt right now. I'm actively working with clients to reschedule, to reconsider dates, venues, things like that. But it's kind of hard to move forward because obviously we're hearing in the news like there may be a second wave. Some brand partners are just not traveling this year. So we're having to really get creative and think outside of the box on how to move forward or either cancel or go to next year. So it's been impacted quite a bit this year. I was getting ready to work with quite a few brands to activate in New Orleans during Essence Festival. That's not happening until next year. So, and a lot of my time, the first half of the year is spent planning and organizing that. So on the other side of it, I'm glad to be home. It gives me a chance to kind of relax and debrief a little bit. But I am at a place where I'm ready to get back out there and interact with people.
Yeah, I think that that's the hardest thing, is having to tell your clients, even though we all know what the climate is right now, that you have to reschedule because they've invested so much money. And so, if you're working with another small business, they don't have a multitude of money to just pull from. And so, that is another thing that we have to consider. What do you think, Tamika?
Well, I'm actually still doing a couple of things, working in like the fabrication space. We are, of course, we're not in operation. But I have been able to leverage some of the relationships that I've had with people because I had like 2 very small projects that were like scenic projects for the ORS office and for a conference that's coming up this month. So again, they're really, really small. So of course, we don't need the bandwidth as like, of course, you've seen when you came to the shop, 28,000 square feet of space where we're doing big build outs. And, of course, it's scaled down quite a bit. But I am, still happy to still be in conversations with clients. And there's just a hope that, some of these things are still coming to fruition, with some retail partners, as well as Absolute. They want to do like the Instagram space. So they're looking to launch that next year, but because it's so big, it will need to start being built this year. So we've still been in conversation. It's just really just a game of being hopeful and trying to remain relevant and still,
Right.
keeping your skills sharp. So I've been excited to just do small backdrops and, like floral walls. Like we saw this little number that I kind of put together. So I've still been excited to do some small things. Better that than nothing at all.
Absolutely. Now, Aston, I know that you are not necessarily in your role with Remy. You are not an owner, but you do have the tip-off app, which you are utilizing at different events. So can you speak to both aspects of that? So in your regular role, as account manager, you are, continuously, I would assume, working with other businesses and business owners to kind of get things going. So how have you seen this impact the owners?
Well, in various ways. Right now, everything is so uncertain that no one can really make plans moving forward. We assume that people will pick back up, but we know things will look different. I've reached out to a lot of my accounts that are still selling food and things of that nature to just try to get some, and even the ones that don't sell food, to try to get some virtual things going, or a lot of things on social media, whether it be some vignettes or video clips that they can put on their website that highlight our brands, or supporting our accounts that still sell food, and me personally posting things, trying to push people, because we definitely want to keep our small businesses.
For sure.
Most of our business is small business. So everybody's just still kind of up in the air, depending on what the rules are that the government puts in place when they reopen everything. And as far as being an entrepreneur on the tech side, I could say it has shown me that tech is the way to go, because this is actually a great time for me, because I have a gaming app that people can just download and use at home, and this is the perfect time to do that. So it's kind of two totally different. It's like night and day. But with Remy, people are still going to the store, people are still buying products, people are still making drinks at home, so that helps us as well. But but as far as our accounts and things of that nature, everybody's just kind of waiting and seeing. We look at what happens overseas. We do a lot of research about the countries that have reopened and how they're slowly reopening, what's working and what's not. So I think that will help as well, because we have kind of a case study to go by. But also, we're a totally different country and things have hit us differently. So who knows? Everything's just kind of up in the air.
That's true. And to piggyback off of that, I want to pose the next question to Marilyn, Mike, and Tamika specifically. So let me know. I want to know how the city has handled. I know you were in Florida, Marilyn, but I want to know from you guys, how do you think your governor or your mayor has handled this situation, especially as it pertains to hospitality and the events industry? Because these industries, to some point, are really devastated. And just my personal opinion, it will take years. We're all pivoting, but it's going to take years to recoup the money that's been lost from the investments of events that are, that were supposed to happen, but were canceled. And you just think about, the Essence festivals, or you've got, all of the other huge, large festivals that were supposed to happen this year. So just speak to, how do you think government is handling this?
I'll say for my area, they're trying their best, honestly. In Florida, obviously, we're known as a destination travel hub. A lot of hospitality happens here. Our beaches are where people come to vacation from all across the world. And also, we're planning for the Super Bowl for next year. So a lot of my colleagues
Right.
that are in the sports arena, they're just hoping that things will matriculate for them to continue to be successful. Right before all this happened, I was in meetings and we were all strategizing about, okay, how can we help brands that are not necessarily in the sports space, but around Super Bowl, there's a lot of things that happen in the area. So they're trying to figure out, okay, how can we activate? How can we still put our name out there? And I honestly feel like, with all of this that's happening, so much uncertainty where people now they're just like, they're scrambling. A lot of the mayors in our area, they're opening up actually on Monday, a lot of places and restaurants. They can do so much, like up to 50% capacity for
Yep.
some things. But honestly, what's kind of concerning to me is that if you look in Georgia, the short amount of time that they've been open, they've had an increase in cases. So
Wow.
yeah. So I feel like Florida, I hope that we're not seeing the same thing, but we also have a very high retirement community as well. So those are all the different factors that play into part. And I do agree, it's going to take some time for us to come back from this. I think the events industry and hospitality industry, we're going to have to be super creative about how do people interact with each other? And at this point, everybody wants to interact in some way, shape, or form. It may not be on the large scale, but it may be more intimate environments.
What do you think, Mike?
I think that the government is handling it to the best that they possibly can. I think it's, I understand both sides. Businesses are struggling. A lot of businesses won't make it through this, like when it's over. But at the end of the day, I think we do have to find that balance of how do we both consider, the health and what's going on with people, as well as, how do we kind of think about the small businesses and how do they survive? I've been down in Houston for, a bit, kind of quarantining. And so Houston is completely different than what I saw in Chicago before I left. And in Houston, I think it's a lot easier to practice social distancing because people are driving and commuting in a different way versus, public transportation as much. So, down here, I've seen like a lot of restaurants open for carry out and still kind of not really operating as usual, but they're, things are open here in Houston and you're seeing a lot more traffic and things like that. Where Chicago, a city where, it's a little bit more reliant on public transit and we kind of move around a little differently. I think that it's a little more difficult for people to practice social distancing. I don't really have the answer. I don't really know, how do you find the balance? I know the state of Illinois doesn't have a lot of money and, people need money and resources. So it's like, how do you make sure people feel safe and, secure at home? But then how do you keep these businesses open? Because otherwise it's not looking too good for a lot of people. But overall, I think I was going to say, but I think Mayor Lightfoot and Governor Pritzker have done an excellent job of doing the best that they can and being as transparent as they can. I think they obviously want the city to be back open, but they understand that it's you got to do what's right,
Yeah, I 100% agree. I couldn't be more proud of our governor and our mayor, in Illinois, because I think that, overall that they are invested in keeping the people safe and they are not putting government. It seems like they don't want to put government over the health and lives of the people. And I totally that. I think that as, in this conversation, we can say consumers, I would just hope that people would, stay home and do what we're supposed to. I understand that we all want to get out, but it's just so important. And we're never going to get to summertime shy ever, if people just don't do what they're supposed to, and then you're going to have the businesses that are closing and all these places that we love, you're not going to have an opportunity to support them because they're no longer there because you want to have a house party. But that's a different one. All right, Tamika, what do you think?
I feel as though the governor of the whole state there's our other guys.
Yeah.
Oh, can you see me?
Hey, Jeff, we can see you. Having a little bit of trouble hearing you, though. But we're super happy that you made it, that you're on. You good to go?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. All
Okay,
right, Jeff,
awesome.
let's fill you in. I just asked the group what they thought about, the government, if they think that the governor and the mayor are doing a good job as it relates to COVID-19, and then also specifically to your industry, hospitality, to events. So let me have Tamika go ahead and jump back in.
So I feel like they're both, since they're both working so closely together, I think they are handling it with a lot of grace and with a lot of poise. A lot of transparency, a lot of care and concern, but also a lot of humor. I really enjoy following Mayor Lifa's Instagram because it be cracking, okay? That baby lit. She's taking every opportunity to find humor in this. She's taking every opportunity to become an influencer. Show that she does have a humorous side with her Where's Lightfoot page. So you'll see her, people will put her in random areas and making really funny memes. And, and she's going along with it. She's also finding the fun and people making fun of her, which is always great to see that she's not really taking it too serious. Although we're like in this really serious situation. I really like JB. I really feel like he's down to earth. I feel like, he's for the creative. One small thing though that I thought about was that Chicago is really the biggest place in the state. And everywhere else around Chicago is rural. I am from the country. I'm from a tiny, tiny town northwest of here, Freeport, Illinois, where their way of life is practicing social distancing because they don't have the kind of systems, as Mike was saying, they don't have the kind of systems that we have here, as most of the states also does not have those kind of systems. So I do feel like in places where there are lots of, it's rural and it's not like metropolitan, there shouldn't necessarily be like a one size fit all because they count on the farms, they count on mom and pop stores to kind of engineer and power the town. It's maybe like 30,000 people that live there. And it's right outside of it's tiny. And because that's already their way of life and all the mom and pop stores have to shut down, I'm really just kind of fearful of what the economy in tiny towns are going to be like because they're not like big engines like we're here in Chicago. So I actually heard that they wrote a letter to JB and asked like if he could lift some of the ramifications, that they put on Chicago, if they could lift a little bit of them here, like maybe letting some of the places open, because it's almost like a ghost town there anyway. So it's like now it's no activity at all. So, but other than that, I do feel like they're really for the people right now, and nobody wants to cancel events. That's money for everybody. Lollapalooza was canceled. That's money for the city. We're a huge tourism city. And for them to be taking hits like that, it just makes me feel like I'm not alone. So I'm, just waiting around to see what the verdict's going to be in a couple of months.
Okay, and I want to clarify. I just want to piggyback on a statement that you made about our mayor. I don't know if you saw today. Because it's really warm here in Chicago, it probably was about 75 degrees or so. So people are out and they're hanging out and they're doing house parties. They probably have been doing them all along, but a lot more people are doing these house parties. And so she's come forward to say that, people are going to potentially be facing jail time. So I think that there is the jokey joke aspect of the mayor. She does want to relate to the city, it's relatable. But I also think that she doesn't play. And I think that people should probably listen. I don't think that she wants to put anyone in jail, but you're not leaving any choice. Correct. And I think she will do it. So I really think that people should, tighten it up so that you don't have to, cause yourself these issues. It's really not that serious. It's really not that serious. But I want to bring Jeff into the conversation. So, Jeff, this question is for you. How do you think the government, you're in Illinois too, so specifically the governor and mayor, how do you think they handled COVID-19? And especially, since you missed the first question, I want you to also speak about how your business has been impacted.
Okay, well, for the food service industry overall, it's been a huge disaster because it's been unprecedented. And I think that in my industry, I'm a food service director and I'm also a caterer. So from the catering aspect, I have a lot of events that have been canceled. As a food service director, it's been pretty smooth as far as schools and school districts are concerned. We are giving out free meals daily. So on the other question, what the government is doing, I think they've done a great job. Mayor Lightfoot, she's becoming the parent that everybody needs, so to speak. What I've learned from my grandparents, they said, if you don't listen, you will feel. So a lot of people, they're not listening, so they got to feel it the hard way. Making regulations, policies, putting all that in place. I think she's doing a great job, and so is Pritzker. I hope that answered your question.
No, you did, absolutely. So, we've kind of touched base on, what we think is, working, or not working, for specific businesses. But I want to touch on the change because we know what's happening. But eventually, the events industry will pick back up. The hospitality industry will pick back up. There will, of course, be some casualties, but we need to think of things that we need to be added to the conversation. So that, let me say that first. And which was another reason why I wanted to put this together, because I didn't really see any brown faces that were contributing to a conversation like this. And we won't answer every question, but I at least want to get the conversation started so other people can, start their own thing and have conversations like these. But what needs to happen? What does it need to look like? You know what I mean? So for restaurants, does that mean having, hand sanitizers, stations everywhere and big signage, or just what does it look like? What is it going to take for people to feel safe, in whatever environment, if they're at an event, if they're at a restaurant? I really want to just kind of collaborate and figure out what it needs to look like.
So from my point of view, there are different levels. So coming up from the highest level, which is the FDA, Federal Drug Administration, I think there needs to be tighter restrictions, tighter policies as far as when it comes to meat processing or it comes to distribution. Over the years, we've had concerns about food recalls, where there's romaine, where there's, pink slime. There are different reasons that are taking place. As far as sanitation is highly important, even from the restaurant to your kitchen. So I think there need to be stricter guidelines, things like safe surf classes, sanitation classes. I think they should be free to all restaurant employees.
Wow.
I have employees that they're still learning, and they've been in the restaurant, or they've been in the field for years, and it's just not enforced in training. So I think also there should be more training, more on the job training. The enforcing of service standard and operating procedures is a major key to what should be changed going forward.
I think what you just said is huge, because I don't know about you. I am a germaphobe. Not many people.
Me too.
So I do think about, as I go to restaurants, I'm very selective of where I go, but even still, you don't know what goes on behind the scenes. And so to hear you say that, people behind the scenes aren't really trained, they're just going off of what they think, is the proper way to do something, is troublesome. So I'm glad that you shared that, so that anyone that's looking at this can go to our mayor and governor and go, hey, we need to tighten up on some of these things. That's what the conversation is for, because I never thought of it that way. I don't know if you guys did, if you have looked at it like that. So that's an excellent point. What do you think, Marilyn?
I believe, especially for those like in the event space, I was just having this conversation with one of my clients recently. We were planning an event for about 100 people to come in the natural beauty space. And now I feel like it should be more intimate. Instead of thinking of events being large scale, you have all these different moving pieces, touch points. Now I feel like from the event perspective, having more intimate settings for people that are limited access, high scale, is going to be a new wave for the event industry, in my personal opinion, until we get a handle on how do we still create an experience for people but not compromise their health. How do people still get a chance to interact with each other? How do brands still get in front of their target audiences without this fear of, okay, if I host this event, if there's an outbreak, what is the liability for that particular brand or those that are involved in it? So I feel like creating intimate experiences will eliminate the possibility of there being high risk involved. And also, when you think about someone like washing their hands or sanitizing certain areas, those are opportunities for that to be almost curated per se. So it's not just like, oh, it's this COVID thing that's on my mind, so let me go wash my hands. It now can be a new way that people just interact with each other. Like that's just the new norm for people. And it doesn't perpetuate this continual feeling of anxiousness of whether or not, is something sanitized or up to a certain standard. It's just now a new normal for everyone to move in that direction.
I'd like to piggyback off of.
Sorry, Tamika.
Yeah, go ahead.
You got some distortion, so I don't know if there's another device, a secondary device going on. I just want to try and clear it up so we can make sure everybody's heard. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tamika.
I just wanted to piggyback off of what she said in regards to just like brands continuing to be seen. Because I work in a scenic space, in a fabrication space. Honestly, I do feel like brands should still put aside, a fund specifically for the customization of their branding when it comes to these smaller and intimate events. Even if it's between 10 people up to 100 people, they still deserve the same experience as well, as whether it's virtual or in the physical. And there are still ways, especially between, like dinners that we talked about earlier, and then activations that we talked about earlier, as well as virtual live music, which I operate very heavy in, is the live music sector. And one thing I'm like super passionate about is like these really beautiful stage sets and these stage designs. and how that really can transform the room and really give the artists the opportunity to interact with the brands as well as people who are watching and in the audience or what have you. So I do still think that people want to have that experience, and they shouldn't be cheaped out on that experience. They should at least have a little backdrop or, some print somewhere, or, some digital somewhere. There's some time even a way for them to physically touch something, whether it's gathering data, which most brands do when we go to experiential. Is really about capturing data and how they can put their brand in their house. When you go to expos and conventions, all they have is swag. They're taking home swag bags, and that's what Essence is about. And a lot of these, Remy events and Hissy events or what have you, is really about that swag and how I can physically touch, interact with that brand. And even if you're gathering data, get their address. And like the young lady, she sent us something in the mail. Like, that's another level of involvement that brands haven't necessarily done outside of going to consume it in retail style. Now you have an opportunity to, send care packages saying, thank you for tuning in. Here's a book, or such and such, Yeah, I mean, it might be mail, but you're not really paying out millions of dollars on these events as you would be sending out a few $100,000 small packages just to say, hey, thank you, we're with you. Here's a small gift, courtesy of such and such. And I feel strongly about that. And if you guys know any people that still want, to have an experience, on the hit me up.
I want to offer this, right? In terms of the events industry, we know that things will never be the same again after this. But what I'll say is that we will continue to do events over time. Events will continue. But I think what this has created is now we have, or brands have, two ways that they are able to communicate with a multitude of people that some people might not have had access to before. So you can do a smaller event, but now that we are all immersed in this virtual reality, so to speak, we're all on Facebook, Instagram, we're on everything, all social. You might not, the rub out, the funds, or the ability to get to the actual event. But companies are now able to stream live these events, and it's going to be something that's more accepted. So you're able to come up with all of these different ways to market to certain people, and still everyone is going to be able to have that same experience. So we just have to think about, just like you were saying, Tamika, how to make it personalized. I think there's still a way for everybody to win with this situation. I really do. But Jeff, I want to get your take on it from the food perspective.
Go ahead. I didn't hear your question.
I just wanted to get what your take was. In terms of changes, you were talking about, safety. Is safety going to be the main change for you? Because I want to hear a little bit more about that experience element. For you're a caterer, so that personalized touch. What do you think that should look like?
Well, for catering, you need a license, first of all. And a lot of people that are catering do not have licenses. So I feel that they will have stricter penalties and stricter fines. I've also worked in hotels, and I think the biggest change will be coming in the restaurant industry from that point of view. You have fine dining restaurants that are actually doing curbside service right now. That's going to be huge. I think that there'll be increasing drive-through options. Sanitary purposes, they might not have the mask on, but sanitation takes a huge step into where we're going. For instance, like I said before, just to reemphasize, the sanitary courses, they have to be in place. There are situations where you have a sanitation manager on hand at any given restaurant, any given catering event, but are they up to date with their license, so to speak? So there are classes that change. So they need to be educated continually. The sanitation licenses every 4 to 5 years. So I think it should be every year, so to speak, and it should be free. So
Yeah.
just piggybacking on what I said before, I think it goes back to the education purposes.
Okay. Well, I brought you all on specifically because I feel like while everyone does something different, you're in different aspects of different industries. At some point, you know, as an event curator, you're gonna, you know, eventually work with a caterer or vice versa. And then as part of the larger picture, you're gonna be working, you know, as part of the larger event. So we all work together in these different spaces. And so I was just very curious to know what the different perspectives are. And so my takeaway from the conversation so far has been we need to figure out a way to safely, which we already knew, right? Safely entertain people, but we really need to put the specific, we need specific protocols in place, which it sounds like in terms of food, there needs to be stronger licenses or restrictions of some sort that I had never thought about because I'm not in that space. Aston, let me get your take on it because when I think about sampling and demos and things like that from the alcohol aspect of things, I think about maybe going to Benny's, maybe not a club, but like Mariano's or just some other grocery store where I might want to sample a new beverage, right? It could be Remy Control. So I want to go and do a sample. What might something like that look like? You know what I mean? Does that change or is it the same? That's the same.
I think it will definitely change. What it's going to look like, I can't say right now. I think we will, to be honest, I would think we will probably follow suit with whatever bars do or whatever they're required to do by the state and the government, and then go from there. But you know, at the end of the day, it's just still working within the rules and still being creative. So, for example, there's a program that we have here at a account called Persona that some of you guys may have heard of, and they used to once a month do something called Pretty Girls Love Tacos, which is basically a Taco Tuesday event. Okay. So for Cinco de Mayo, we've decided to still use Taylor Tacos, but use Persona as the pickup spot for Taylor Tacos. Come out with sparklers to still give people that like feel of a VIP. Yeah. And then Juki the Kid will still DJ like he normally does, except he'll be on IG Live and Facebook Live, so people can still get that experience. And then one of the promoters, Defina, will show people how to make drinks at home, margaritas and Remy Ritas and things like that in between breaks. So it's kind of like still creating that virtual, that's still that vibe, but virtually.
And we're more open to it because we don't have a choice. We're all stuck in the house. So we'll take anything right now. We'll take any sense or level of entertainment because we're just in the house bored. We just really want to connect with people and laugh and have fun and go back to usual. So I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, I actually heard something about that where I don't know which company it was, but they actually like sent the ingredients to everybody that RSVP. So they like pre-packaged all the ingredients and then sent them to everybody. And then they did a virtual mixology, which was really dope.
Yeah. So a lot of people have been doing that, watch parties, things of that nature, you know, interactive workshops. But I mean, even if you look at something as simple as Timberland and Swiss Beats put the Versus thing and broke the internet basically with Babyface and Teddy Riley, and you know now they're getting ready to do Jill Scott and Erykah Badu, and they've created this whole another brand of something that may have not taken off if people weren't stuck at home. So it's just interesting to see how people will take their brands and do live concerts and battles and virtual events and things of that nature. So
I agree. I think it's another lane for sure. You know, virtual reality has always been there. I think this is their moment. All of the, you know, for the events people who know all the vendors who do virtual, this is like their moment to like really shine, because there are a lot of other cool things that they are doing, capabilities that a lot of the public hasn't seen yet that I think will start to come to the forefront. So I'm really excited on that front. But yeah, this is just, the start of a conversation, hopefully the start of many. So just want to ask, does anyone have any final remarks, comments, thoughts about anything?
Yeah, I was gonna chime in. I think a lot of stuff is happening right now, and any small business or any brand, I kind of urge anybody to have a strong online presence, a website. If you don't have a website, you absolutely need a website. You need a very accurate and up-to-date way to communicate with people about simple things like your business hours. Like, I know there have been some businesses that I wanted to support, and their hours listed online don't reflect the hours that they're currently open in operation. So like, you can't just get away anymore with just, you sell this food service or whatever service. Like we got to step it up in a digital platform.
Yeah.
I'm big in the live music space as of probably like the last couple of years. I don't know what the future of the live music industry looks like. I know a lot of venues are struggling to stay open. Like their livelihood relies on people, being there and being in existence. I think that we're gonna have to really look at a strong like digital transition. So like, we saw like the first wave of like there are a lot of businesses, I don't know if not Best Buy, but there was just like some other like Kmart's and things like that didn't survive. When things shifted online, like was it Borders that went out of business? So like even books, like I've been very adamant like during this time about supporting Black owned businesses and like bookstores. So like hitting up a bookstore and being able to order a book online, even for like a small business. And I think that's been extremely helpful for me to be like, hey, it may not be much, but here's $40 or $50 I can throw your way to just help keep your business open. But had they not had that practice in place, I think Semicolon is a Black woman owned bookstore in Chicago. I think they've done a great job of being accessible for people like me that want to read books during this time and support them and order and things like that. Other businesses, not so much. It kind of shows, particularly Black business, the value in investing in digital marketing. Those things that we said that you needed to do a long time ago.
Yeah,
you can't get away with not doing it. From like the brand perspective, I think that we're going to see like a rise in influencer marketing. And I mean, we've seen influencer marketing for so long, but I think it's going to continue to grow between like D-Nice and like all these other DJs and things we've seen. There's another like DJ collective called Selection, and they have done, partnerships with different brands like BBC, like Pharrell's Ice Cream. Levi has done the 501 Live series. So basically they booked a bunch of different artists. The House Picnic is pivoting to a digital festival. So, I was thinking, I want to say this real quick. I was thinking about like AMC, like what would have happened if AMC, I think they're struggling financially, if they would have been able to pivot to an option for me to get a popcorn and movie theater experience at home from like directly from AMC. But it's like the same way that like, taxis went out of business or like are losing business because they didn't evolve. I think that like this is keeping us on our toes and we got to keep evolving. I think the tech industry we're really going to see a rise in the tech industry, like a lot of, new apps. Shout out to Acid and Tip Off. But just a continuation of a lot of new apps being developed, and we're going to be ordering drinks online more. We're going to be using food delivery, but not just the regular order. Like I want food and drinks delivered at the same time. So a few weeks ago, I partnered with Frontier. We did like a Taco Tuesday to go, as well as like we did like a shrimp boil to go. So just kind of bringing that experience that you would normally get, figuring out, okay, how do I cut costs on my restaurant and still, generate some profit and like deliver this experience directly to someone's household. So if you don't have a website, if you don't have a working phone number, email that you're not checking, you got to change that, because otherwise you're losing out on business during this time. There's no way that we can support you even if we wanted to. And yeah.
Okay.
One group that I'm like extremely impressed with their production, because I can't stand no janky production. I'm gonna just put that out there. I am a professional vocalist. I'm on very big stages, and There's just a level of production that comes along with that live music feel. And as we're trying to do stuff in our homes, it is a little tough sometimes to like translate what you would have had on a big stage as of what you're going to do in a room, especially if you live in an apartment and you got neighbors. But I do feel like there is still some creativity that can go into that live music, element. Transformation Church, if you guys are not familiar, they're in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Their production is like bar none. Okay, like they stream and they do pre-recorded and then they do their live. They still have their singers, they still have their musicians, like killing it, and it's beautiful. And I really feel like I'm a part of that experience, and they really play up the graphics. Like the graphics are just really beautiful, and they try to find ways to have these support groups so that people can, have people to talk to and, just have like a safe haven. They just did this big relationships goals broadcast with all their favorite celebrity couples, and they were able to do it at their church. They had a full scenic, digital scenic going on. They had like a stage prop, couches on the stage, and it was just really stunning with the level of production. So I just, because I'm in that realm, like still put 100% behind your production, because that's what's going to separate you from everybody else, is the fact that you actually took it an extra mile and still wanted people to be able to appreciate your art in its raw form. But, there are still opportunities for those brands, even if it's just a banner or, there's still an expectation, because we're spoiled, that comes along with the level of production and presentation that people still need to have, even in your home, so.
Yeah. What level of production do we need? Babyface level of production? Or do we need? Okay.
No. So even with stuff like that, even with stuff like streaming. So Erykah Badu, she has been doing her own she has her own streaming service, and she has been doing like concerts, very intimate concerts, and she still has her whole band there. She still has her singers there. It's as much as the audio, have your audio together, feed your audio into your computer so it doesn't get that feed, so it doesn't get that feedback. And it's just a level of expectation that, especially when you are an artist, you have the resources, you have the capabilities, you can still go to recording studios, there are still spaces that may not be your traditional 5,000 person venue, but there are still some really nice spaces that can, you can still do events in, and that's really where, somebody like Mike comes into play, where he has a list of really dope venues that he's partnered with, how to push those businesses out there and how to get some of those smaller events so he can funnel that business through his vendors.
There we go.
I want to say something really quick that I just thought about. So a couple of things, like when it comes to like live music and sort of even like the food space, your margin is often really small, right? So you account, let's say if this venue holds 500 people, you might say I need to get 300 people in the door before I even start to break even and before I start to generate a profit. So I think that's going to present a challenge both for venues, because think about the amount of people that are spending money at bars or ticketing fees and things like that. So then it's going to shift the whole model, because like live music, the agents are getting their fees, the managers are getting their fees, the artists, they have to pay their bands. Like that whole thing is going to shift, because the margin is going to be a lot lower if we have to reopen in the capacity of 50% of what the cap is. That means that everybody is potentially making 50% of what we could have made. But what I just thought about a couple of things. I think Tiny Desk is like a good model of what I see the future of things happening. But also, I just thought about this. I think that like there might be some sort of like monthly subscription service for streaming platforms. I think I saw something about Instagram potentially allowing people to start charging for Instagram Live. Don't know how true that is, but I think that could be a good model.
Was that Instagram or is that what's the green?
I know people are using Twitch as a platform that they're going to.
Which
back to Periscope as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, I think Tidal just did something I think is really, really pivotal to like the streaming service. So I don't know how they're going to roll this out, but I think they're supposed to be allowing people to sign up for Tidal for free, only to access the video platform aspect of things. So you may not get access to the music for free, but if you want to watch, like they've in the past streamed music festivals and things like that, and concerts or documentaries. So, 6 months from now, I might be subscribing to Tidal, and maybe I'm doing what AMC should have been doing, and maybe it's an Erykah Badu documentary or something that I'm paying $5 directly through Tidal or something like that, or you subscribing to your favorite artists for Twitch on Twitch or whatever platform. Or there's also Superphone. So Superphone was a platform that was designed for artists to connect directly to their consumers. So like now you can text. Ryan Leslie started it. So now you can text your fans directly. So if I have a platform like Superphone and I'm an artist, I'm using that right now to think of whatever personalized experience I can give my fans, because I don't have to rely on seeing them in person. I can be like, hey, I just dropped some new merch, order this, or I got a new vinyl, or I'm going live tonight, or, these type of things. So I think we're going to see a rise in those type of services and some sort of subscription model around that.
I'm excited. It sounds like some fun things, some more innovation. It's coming towards us. So that's always great to keep it fun. So I think something positive coming out of such a negative situation, is to be celebrated. Any other final comments, last words, anything like that?
Yeah, any way that, I can support you all's, initiatives and what you're doing. I'm open and accessible. Any resources that I have, I'm big on sharing them and, pushing the culture through other influencers. You guys feel free to reach out if you need a backdrop or you need some live music, such as who's and what's. Like, I'm all about, sharing what I have to offer.
And I think most of us are in Chicago. Maryland is back and forth to Chicago. I know, because that is where I met her. I think it was it Essence? We met at an Essence event
yes,
last year. I know that you are always here doing PR work and things of that nature. So yeah, I think you guys should definitely connect. So that was another aspect. Is hopefully, bringing together like-minded individuals. And if there's a way to work together, there's, some commonality there, then that's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are healthy, I don't mind getting out the house, like, so actually, creating to where, Jeff, he might want to do a couple of signature dishes and, stream that, and, ask if she might want to do a couple of signature cocktails, have just like a really pretty branded space. And of course, Mikey can plan it. Like, I'm all for collaborating in this climate. I think, we all are really leaning and need to lean on each other more. We can't do it by ourselves. And there are a lot of resources out there, and just a way for us to stay connected. This has been really great. So I appreciate you guys and hearing, you guys' perspectives.
All right, you guys.
And I just saw one of the questions that came up from Justin.
Yeah. Do you have LinkedIn pages? And so, you guys, what I'll do is send me. I want to give your correct information. I don't know that I have all of you all's LinkedIn information. Send me whatever information you feel safe. Send me the best ways to contact each of you if you would like to be contacted, and then I can make sure that, whoever is watching this who wants to connect with you, that they can, whether it be business or otherwise. I can do it in a managed, in a safe space. I can do that for you guys. So we're coming up to close to time. I like to be on time, us events people. So, yeah, I want to thank each and every one of you all for participating. Hopefully, someone that's watching did get something out of it from each and every one of you all. It's just to evoke thought, and to evoke some other conversations that we need to be a part of as Black people. We just need to, on record, have an opinion about something. So hopefully, this is that. I want to definitely thank everyone for watching, for supporting the Urban Key. I want you guys to join the community. If you're streaming and you are not a part of the Facebook group, I'm going to put a link in the thread here so that you can have access to more interviews and just other events. You're free to add your events in the Facebook community group. There's a group and then there's a page. So if you're not in the group, you're missing out. So I'm going to put some links in the comments in the thread there, but you can definitely follow me on all platforms at theurbankey.com or all platforms at The Urban Key. Email me at info@theurbankey.com. And I hope you guys have a good evening.
You too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Nice meeting you guys.
Bye.
Nice meeting y'all too.
All right.
Bye.